Welcome back, traders. We are going to be getting into stock ticker GME and stock ticker AMC, guys. I wanted to start by saying thank you to the almost 200 subscribers we've built and the momentum that we've carried in the last month. I want to continue to steam pile ahead, full steam. So thank you guys. God bless you guys. Now let's get into GameStop, guys. Let's get into GameStop. GameStop closed down about 2% today. If you count in, actually it's up in after hours, but it closed almost 2% today. On the hourly chart, you are about to cross up on the MACD. That is a good sign on the hourly chart. The 4-hour chart, you put in a touch of bullish MACD divergence, making a lower low in stock price and a higher low on the MACD, just barely, but it is there. That is bullish divergence on the 4-hour. And then on the daily time frame, you got more red volume than green. I don't love that, but you're coming to a critical point of support, and you would expect a large size bounce, a very large size move off of this trend line, just like you've gotten here. You've gotten it. How many times was that? 5, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you've touched this trend line now 8 times, and you've bounced pretty significantly off of it. What I don't like is, just like I said, that volume again, concluding this pretty low volume sell-off with increased volume is not the best sign. So you need to wick off of this as soon as tomorrow. Unless you get a red low volume doji, you would expect this thing to come down here tomorrow, wick off of it, and go to the top. That is what I'm looking for as a bull. I'm looking for a good candle close on high volume. You need to see the bulls literally defend this with their lives, because if they don't defend it with their lives, guys, you're going down to the teens, and you're going to touch the all-time trend line on GameStop. In case you're not aware, there is a trend line that we've spoken about on this stock that you've bounced. You bounced here back in 2020, bounced here again in July of 2020. You squoze, you bounced here, and then you squoze, and then you could potentially see it again. You had 2 taps of this resistance before you found all-time highs in 2020. So this would be your second tap within the same year that you could potentially see an all-time high. What we are gearing towards and what our target is on this stock is the profit target from this bull pennant. Let's do that. At around, let's say, give or take $100 to $115. But what I'm really targeting here is this gap fill that you have yet to fill, along with these minor gap fills at $29 and $30. And then the all-time great, the larger gap fill that you made back in 2021, guys, in case you're not aware, back here, has yet to be filled at $73. So that is really what I'm looking for in terms of GameStop levels. You've got the teens in support, but you need to go as soon as tomorrow. It is that important on this stock that you see a bullish reversal. GameStop on the Bollinger Bands, you've now lost the midline, the mid band, and you're approaching the end of that band. So you're beginning to see these bands expand whilst going down. So you'd like to find a reversal back above this midband in order to curl these further to the upside, opposed to finding abysmal price action down here. On the weekly time frame, I know we were talking about the MACD. Is it still there? It's still there, and you're curling up. you kind of took a little bit off of that curl, but you are still curling up. And that's what you need to continue to see on GameStop is you need to see this close out as you get into the pinnacle of this wedge or pennant. It's quite literally going to be until the end. You're going to trade in this probably until the end because GameStop is GameStop and likes to keep everyone on their toes going into earnings, apparently, on 9/6. One notable thing is you closed below the 200-day EMA. Typically, when you've closed below the 200-day EMA, you have wicked back above it every single time. You did it, closed below, wicked above, closed below, wicked above, closed below, wicked above. Bounced off of it, closed below, wick above, close above, close below, wick above. Close below, extreme wick above. So since you have been in this bull pennant, you have wicked above the following week. So if you see this thing close on low volume, I would expect the next week to be the wick above. I would expect it to be high volume bullish buying that gets you above this trend line because you're truly in go time. You're only 2 weeks out from earnings. And that is including the end of this week. So starting next week, you will be a week out from earnings, which we reviewed on this stock. Every single time in the earnings, going into it, you've pumped. You've pumped. You've pumped. You've pumped. You've pumped. You pumped. Dumped. Pump, dump. Pump, dump. So there's a very clear and concise, consistent pattern on GameStop that going into earnings you've pumped and you are, I don't even know how this thing is so coiled, but it is. And I'll give you an example of what this stock could look like if it breaks, right? This stock could, doesn't mean it's going to. This stock could look something like this, like robotics, where you traded within this bull pennant or bull flag, literally all the way until the end, broke it into earnings, dumped, and then squoze or gapped up on extreme volume. That is what you need to see on GameStop. You need to see us down here about to get that earnings move into the run. And I know everyone always says, oh, it's the bottom. This is the bottom. I mean, maybe it's not, right? You could totally see a world where this thing does one of these. I could totally see it, guys. You know how market makers are. You could do one of these. You knife down to the all-time trend. Maybe you reject it. You come back down and then you go up to $40. I could see something like that. That is a very real possibility that it could happen on GME. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Okay. That is a very real possible on GameStop possibility going into the GameStop earnings. So be careful. Know that there is risk involved, but I think, in my opinion, not financial advice, the risk is much inherently less than the reward here on this chart pattern. So do with that what you may. Let's get into AMC. AMC stock. AMC stock has been trading sideways for quite some time, and you're still above this uptrend that we drew back here. Right? 8.6, that was a beautiful day. 8.11 was an even more beautiful day. You had great earnings reported. You gapped up. You filled the gap. And now you're trading within this range. And truthfully, you only have until, you have until the rate cut decision on 9/16 to figure out whether you want to go higher or lower. I may be a bull, right? I think that rates are going to be cut. And that risk on assets are going to find some breathing room. Now, what that means, right? AMC has now revisited this trend line or horizontal resistance at 350 1, 2, 3, 4 times within the year. Within the year to date, it has revisited this 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I think on the fifth time, you either break it with volume or you get smacked down by this 200-day EMA. As you see, is sloping down and will begin to come into our territory. And that's exactly where I want it. I want the 200-day EMA within low to mid $3 because nothing has been a greater opportunity on this stock than beating this bully. Now, if you look closely here, 200-day EMA, although you didn't touch it perfectly, did smack you down here. The 200-day literally took you to Tendy Town, and WWE smacked you, John Cena, all the way from $11 down to $4 within a week. You have failed to close above this thing since back in 2023, in which you got smacked down since you closed above it. This thing has inherently acted as a bully, and every single time you've tested it, you've done so with extreme volume. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am no rocket scientist, but you can see what a lot of risk on assets and small cap stocks are doing with the Bollinger Bands. Let's zoom out here. Let's go to the monthly. You can see that the monthly time frame, I got a lot of lines on this chart. Let's get rid of some. See that the monthly time frame on NEO, right, is doing something that it has not done ever and is looking very similar to it when it looked at 2020. It just does. I mean, you're breaking resistance. You're getting gap up, 40% monthly candles, and the quarterly MACD is curling up for the first time since 2020. Now, what we talked about being very important back here in NEO was getting above the mid band of the Bollinger Bands and that you would expand into the upper band. AMC has yet to see that move, but I do believe that that move is coming because you've really consolidated here. I mean, this is the tightest the monthly Bollinger Bands have ever been on the stock. That is bullish, in my opinion, not financial advice. The Bollinger Bands do not act as bullish or bearish. They act as extreme volatility. And it is my opinion that at these levels, oversold in a double bottom macro accumulation pattern, very similar to this one before you squoze back here, that you're within this triangle formation here within the Bollinger Bands. I think you're going to see that move going into rate cuts up to 530. I do. I really do. Getting above this mid band on the Bollinger Bands would be the first time you've done so since back in 2022 of March, guys. That would be a significant development on the stock, and I would expect it to come with news because typically the news will follow the chart and the chart will follow the news, right? Or so they say. I would expect a breakup above the 200-day EMA. It won't happen on the first test, but in my belief, it will happen that you get above this trend line, you get above the 200-day EMA, you consolidate above the mid band here at about $4, and then you go to that upper band in which it will begin to expand. And for the first time since 2020, you will see gap fills above you. You'll see the quarterly MACD chart curling up. And I didn't even mention this before. This is bullish divergence on the quarterly MACD. You've made a significant lower low while making a higher low on the quarterly chart while it is curling up. You get what I'm saying? You get why I'm pounding the table on risk on assets? Because they look so good. They look so good. Let's go to the daily here. Let's see. Okay. We know the gap fills above us, right? We've covered it before, $13, $19, and $43. If you were to do a move similar to the January squeeze, right? If GameStop was to have this-esque move, I would expect you to come back to the top of this range very similarly to what you did here, right? Whether that range is up here, maybe that's your local range that you come and test at that $14 to $11. Very possible. Maybe that range is up here at $43. Whatever, I just know that there's going to be a significant volume pushed into the stock because of the monthly Bollinger Bands. And that is your TA on AMC. Not a lot has changed. The levels you're looking to hold are the ones that you're literally sitting on top of right this instant. You do not want to drop 278 because below 278 is a very painful journey down to 250. Nobody wants 250. You don't want to see that on AMC. Although possible, would be a great buying opportunity for myself. And I would anticipate if you get down here to consolidate a little bit longer back into October. And then October, you would see probably a move up to this 350 range. 350 is the line to beat. You've been down below 350 since earlier this year. Guys, that is 8 months of just beating down AMC down below 350. You need to break 350 and you will see $5. That, in my opinion, is the news on AMC. That is what we should expect. Anything on the 4 hour? Not much. You're going to cross up here on the 4 hour, in my opinion, which will be bullish. Hopefully you'll test the top of here at $3. And then we'll have to see if you can break this resistance. That'll take you up to 330. That is my coverage, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I'm going to drop 2 more tomorrow, 2 more after that, and 2 more after that. I'll try to break it up that way. Not a lot happening in crypto. Otherwise, I would drop a third. But crypto is doing exactly what we expect it to do, consolidating on top of previous resistance. And that is bullish. So hopefully crypto can take everything higher. And we can see Ethereum to continue this awesome run that it's been on, making new all-time highs and testing the resistance at $6,000. That is your next spot to stop, in my opinion. God bless each and every single one of you guys, my 200 subscribers. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace, guys.